Adam Ciaccia, how you doing, man?
Good. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being here. I'm going to try really hard not to whip out my Australian accent. It's horrible.
It's incredible. I forget that I'm speaking Australian at times, and I often get blank stares back, like when I order my coffee in the morning, or just like yesterday in my class, I was just talking, and you could just see that they're looking at my mouth completely perplexed, like, what is this guy saying?
That's really
so I'm like,
funny.
Adam, English, leave the Australian at home. So.
That's really, really funny. You probably have like a slang dialect that you whip out with your buddies, right?
Yeah, bloody oath, mate. Of course we do.
Yeah, please, none of that here, because I have no idea what you just said. Okay, Adam, you're an Australian hairdresser. You're a matrix artist. You're a YouTuber and content creator. You've got about 110,000 subscribers.
Yep. In
the business, you call them subs, right?
That's right. Yeah.
On YouTube. So you've done really, really well at that. Why don't we start with where in Australia you were born?
I was born in Canberra, so Canberra is the capital of Australia. It's, I guess the best way to describe Canberra, it's like Washington. So it's our place where our politicians convene, it's where our parliament sits. It's largely a government town, so public servants are working within directly the government or working for companies that liaise and work with the government. So there's around about 500,000 people there with surrounding areas. So I've been there my whole life. I lived briefly in other cities, but not enough to really say that I'd been elsewhere. Canberra is home.
Cool. And you got a family in the whole 9 yards there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you know, mum and dad are there, my sister and husband and my nephews, and of course my wife and my daughter. Wow. So yeah, Canberra's home.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How'd you get into hair?
It's an interesting question. Being from I'm a first generation Australian, so my father was a migrant from Italy. Always wanted to get a professional degree and be academic, but he was not forced, but it was sort of natural for them to stay on the farm with the family because they were farmers. So he wanted me to have the best opportunity at life, and obviously migrants like go and get an education, do that. So we did that. I finished college, and I was going to go and do a degree in microeconomics at university.
Boring.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
Well, at the time I thought it was smart, and it was like completely subconscious. I didn't choose it because I wanted to be an accountant or something. It was just like, that's what you did. You're Italian. You became a lawyer or an accountant, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd left it too late, so I missed out on getting in that year, and I needed a little bit of work. And my uncle actually owned a hair salon. Yeah, at that time was unprecedented for us. We had like maybe out of 11 staff, 9 were men, and it's just like, man, these guys are rock stars. Like, just. They're all looking like they're having fun, you know, women coming in all the time, and it's like, I think I want to give this a crack. So I finished up working at Sassoon, went back home to Australia, and there was a couple of staff that wanted to see what I'd done and learn at Sassoon. At that point, it was Gaga dolls, or Dada dolls. I don't know if you remember that collection Sassoon did, was beautiful. So there's a couple of girls that couldn't make the session. So I said to my assistant, could you grab my phone, which is the iPhone 3 that couldn't send a picture message, but we all still bought it.
Right.
And at that point, before Google and YouTube had aligned, I don't know if you remember, but the YouTube app was actually an option. When you pressed the box with the arrow as an option, it was actually one of the options that would come up. So I was recording what I was doing so I could replay it to the staff, and my assistant said, Adam, your phone's out of memory. I'm like, oh, great. It's like, what am I going to do now? I'm only halfway through. So I got my phone. I'm like, well, I can't email it. The file's too big. And it said send to YouTube. I thought, oh, that's brilliant. I'll just send it to YouTube, and I'll delete it off my phone. We'll keep going. It literally took 2 minutes to set up an account. It was so easy. So that was it. Kept recording. Great session. Went home to bed. That was a Saturday after work. I woke up Sunday morning.
Hold on, pause. So you uploaded to YouTube almost just as storage to clean
Correct.
out your phone.
Correct.
Did you title the video?
Nope.
Did you put a caption?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. Not that I recall. And
so you.
I think the next day I did, because I actually, as I was saying, all these notifications came up, but the app was very primitive back then. There wasn't a lot of functionality on it, so I had to go to my computer, and I was astonished. The video had like 4,000 views overnight, and I was like, what is going on? And people are reading I'm reading the comments like, thanks so much for sharing. I'm going to try this on my client tomorrow. That's amazing. I've never seen anyone do that before. You know, you're an idiot. Like, you don't know. You got to get that. Like, you got to take the good of the bad, right?
Of course.
But I sat back and I thought, hang on a minute, what does this mean? And I'm a very analytical guy. I try and look beyond face value. And I realised that there was a huge desire for education from people who lived in parts of the world that couldn't access it or didn't have the financial means to access it. And then from that point, I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. This will be what I do for my soul, because you can't always do things in life for the money. You have to do them for the soul. And I've never actually felt comfortable taking money off hairdressers. It's always been, I've always felt a little bit awkward with it. And I'm like, that's my thing. So that's just how it started. So I just started with, like I said, I continued with my iPhone. We then, developed equipment, and obviously it's exploded since then. So then the clientele started to develop in probably 2015, 2014. We'd get emails all the time. My wife Michelle would say, hey, you're getting all these emails from overseas, people want to cut your hair. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, it's a really nice compliment, but it's probably unrealistic. Then late 2016, things got a little bit tough personally, and I needed to disconnect. My wife was diagnosed with cancer. Thankfully, she's on the mend now.
Good.
And I needed to disconnect because she was having time off to recover, and people were coming in the salon every day. How's Michelle? How's Michelle? How's Michelle? And I don't want to have that conversation to 15 people every day, 5 days a week. So I was just like, you know what? I may need to step back from the salon and diversify and earn money elsewhere for a short period of time. So I said to her one night, I go, how many emails you got in that email box? Because she's very smart. She reckons that she's like practical, but she's actually smart. I think logical, practical people are the most intelligent. She'd already taken the initiative to set up boxes in the inbox. So I had USA, Europe, Asia, North America. She had all the, and said, how many emails do you have in the USA one? She said, I'll check. It was about 500.
Wow.
500.
From all over the country?
From all over USA.
Okay. And had anyone responded to these emails?
We just replied and said, there's no plans on me to come to the US at the moment, but we're going to keep your email, and if anything comes up, we'll let you know. So then I thought we'll just try US first. So she sent an email out to everyone. You'd previously inquired about Adam cutting your hair. I know it was some time ago. If you would like to remain on his list and receive some information on an up-and-coming tour, please reply yes, and we'll send you some info. Probably half of them said yes.
Wow.
I wouldn't know the exact numbers. I have to check with Michelle, but it was a lot. Then I was like, 250 people want their haircut. Like, how am I going to do this? Like, that's just not possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the resources. So I said, okay, well, we need to do some math. Like, how much is it going to cost me? And airfare from Australia is very expensive. So my flight here, and I'm not flying first class or business class. I'm just going premium coach.
Right.
It's $6,000. It's a lot. And accommodation's expensive. So we worked out it was going to have to be somewhere around about 400 US a haircut. And I'm like, she's like, no one's paying you $400 to cut their hair. I said, well, look, that's what it's going to be, because half of it essentially is going in my travel and accommodation. So I said, just try. Well, weren't we wrong? Weren't we wrong? So we probably got somewhere between 60 and 70 people like, I'm in. Where's it going to be?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, just incredible people. So I didn't think it would be possible, but it has. And now, as I said to you off air, like, now we're talking about the United Arab Emirates. We're talking about Asia, China especially, Singapore, and now I'm looking at going elsewhere in the US, like Dallas. Been asked to go to Chicago.
Wow.
So I don't know what's going to happen, Eric, but I'm just going to roll with it. Just run with it.
It's spectacular.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
It's nothing that I had ever talked to anybody about. Building an international clientele like this versus educating. So I think this is utterly fascinating. Let's talk about, it all came from YouTube, right?
It did, yeah.
So these are not hairdressers, but they're watching your hair education YouTube videos. Explain that to me.
Yeah, it's it's very fascinating, and the penny dropped when I had someone come into the salon in Canberra, and she was probably around 24, 25, and she's looking at me quite awkwardly. And I'm like, is everything okay? She goes, yeah, everything's great. I'm like, you good? We're good? She's like, yeah, it's good. I said, okay, I was cutting her hair. And I'm like, are you sure you're okay? Because she was like a little bit fidgety. She goes, I just feel like I know you already. I'm like, I'm glad you like that my personality's come across, but in reality, we've known each other 15 minutes. She goes, oh, but I've watched all your videos on YouTube. And I'm like, what? And that was probably mid-2013. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, I Googled hairdresser Canberra, and because that had been the time when Google purchased YouTube and they were indexing videos in search results, So if you're searching for hairdresser and then your state, a video would come up in the search result and you click on it. And that was when I was like, the consumer is watching my videos. That's not why I started it. I started it to share with hairdressers. And I thought, wow, I'm a marketing genius, which is actually not the case. So yeah, I'm still fascinated that the consumers are watching, Eric, they're watching hour-long videos.
Wow.
They go for an hour, and my average view time is 12 minutes. Google say the average is 3 minutes on YouTube. Mine
And
are
you're
12.
getting 4 times that.
Yeah.
So why would a consumer, non-hairdresser, watch an hour-long video on hairdressing?
Well, I guess we'd have to ask them to get their perspective. But from what I've got from them, you can't hide on a video. They're going to get your personality. They're going to see your skills. They're going to see before and after. And if you allow yourself to be vulnerable and actually interact naturally with your client, they get a real authentic idea or real scope of what it's going to be like when they visit you and when they see you. And everyone I've done in the US has all said that you're exactly like you are on the videos, like, because that's who I am.
Wow.
And I think that's the appealing thing, that authenticity comes through. And I think when Instagram is sadly being polluted with people who are fronting and pretending to be people they're not, and selling fake tans and all this ridiculous stuff, I think it's sort of, people are starting to become a little bit cynical about Instagram, and I don't think you can easily get away with faking it on YouTube. Yeah, you could use CGI. Yeah, you could cut certain things out, but largely on a video format or content media, it's they get a real good feeling for who you are.
What about comments? Do you get into the comments? Can you respond on comments on YouTube?
It depends, because, and I don't even know what it would be like for a young girl who's doing a makeup tutorial or beauty, or someone who's maybe more vulnerable in terms of what they're doing in YouTube. But some of the comments are bad, they're horrible.
I heard it's a gnarly arena out there.
Yeah, and
YouTube comments.
And I respond to every single comment I get except the negative ones. And I personally respond to them. It is a full-time job. So
Wow.
Last night before bed, it was 97 comments I replied to. Wow. It might just be a thumbs up and a love, or it might be thank you so much for. If it's a long comment, I'll actually write something back, because someone's taken the time to give you feedback. But it does get a little bit disturbing. I did a live video before I came here, and there was a couple of trolls that were on the live video. There was around about 800 people that were watching it live, and they were making references about harming.
I'm sorry, this is live on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Streaming live to YouTube, and they were making references about harming my daughter and my wife, and I think that you can very easily and these people don't know who I am. They're just trolls. They're just trying to get under my skin. If you respond, they got you.
Right.
They've got you, and you just don't respond. And I learnt that very, very early on. Respond to the positive ones, ignore the negative ones. But also, if they're negative, I don't like your haircut, this is the reasons why I would have done it like that, I read them, because I don't think that I know everything. And if there's someone who's a hairdresser that has written a comment, taken the time to comment, and their comment is constructive criticism based on their opinion, I absolutely read it and take that on board. But if it's someone who's just wanting to be nasty, I just have empathy for them and think, man, you must be in a dark place. So I think you should take the time to respond to positive comments, because people are taking the time to write them.
Tell us about how YouTube and Instagram videos are different.
My Instagram's really bad. Let's be honest. I think I've got maybe 35,000 something on there, which for Australia is actually quite big.
Yeah.
But I was told that at ISSC was it ICE in January when I came? That I was a micro influencer in America, and so that's fine.
Somebody calls you a micro influencer.
Yeah, I was I've been stereotyped. What I try and do is,
welcome to America.
what I try and do is just redirect traffic from each way. So I've started. So I think YouTube videos are different because YouTube videos were different because you could host larger videos. Now with IGTV, and I don't know if you've been following me on Instagram, but I actually in New York I was invited to Instagram. Can't say what I saw. I signed an NDA. I'm sorry I can't share that with you.
You're just teasing us now.
But let's just say that IGTV is now hosting larger videos. So they're sort of now, they've made it easier for people to put longer format. But YouTube's 16:9, Instagram's 9:16. So you need to either shoot it in that, or you need to actually use something like Premiere Pro and actually then reformat your longer format videos or something shot 16 by 9 for IGTV. But
Premiere Pro is a software program?
yeah, it's in the Adobe suite. It's part of like Photoshop and Lightroom. So, and it's not actually that easy to do. Everyone's like, just reformat your YouTube videos, put them on Instagram. It's like, do I have 2 years? Like, it takes a long time.
That's what I say to Donovan. I'm always like, Donovan, just reformat it.
Yeah,
and then I close my door to my office.
Yeah, it's. I guess it's like the rendering process. Like, it takes a long time for that to happen. But I think YouTube is just a different format. I think people on Instagram want short, sharp information. And yeah, they may be on their mobile device on public transport and watch it IGTV. YouTube is, and if you look at the content on YouTube, it's almost like its own version. It's like a network of people who can be amateur, who contribute to something like Netflix. So I think people who are watching content on YouTube, they're not looking for that content on Instagram. And the reason why I think it is that way is because I tell people on YouTube to go and follow me on Instagram all the time, and they don't. So maybe they're not Instagram users.
Yeah.
Maybe they're people who watch it on their TV and they're not seeking that content on Instagram. So they are different, but there are a lot of similarities.
Different audiences, though.
I think so. It has to be. Because I always say, hey guys, like, welcome to, don't forget to subscribe and go and follow me on Instagram. I need to build a...
Nothing.
Doesn't happen.
Okay, so the last question that I ask everybody is, do you have any last words for the hairdressing community worldwide?
I guess the most important thing I could leave with anyone that wants to listen to this, for me, we have a very special occupation, job, employment, however you want to describe it. Like, being a hairdresser is a really special thing. And all over the world at the moment, we're seeing shifts in the way that we work, the way people are employed, the way people are trained. You know, we have issues with people being employed in unethical environments. And if we want to have a sustainable industry, you know, in the US, in Australia especially, where I'm from, this is a problem. We need to provide an environment that's ethical, that we look after people and grow them into professionals so they can have careers, not jobs. Because at the moment in Australia, if you're a parent, you ain't going to go and suggest to your child to have a job in a salon, because there's just been a 10-year period where it's just not been so great. So I think that you have an obligation as an employer to make sure you provide an environment for people to reach their potential. And then for those people who are working as hairdressers, whether it be whatever, you have an obligation to the hairdresser community to put back. And you can do that via social media. You can do that by helping someone, by spending some time with someone. Because I've said it earlier, the thing that I've learned about coming to the US and why the hairdresser community is so strong, and actually Australia can learn a lot from the US in that regards, is collaboration. People in Australia are very reluctant to collaborate with you. Not all. Some are, like, I'm lucky that I have colleagues that are hairdressers that I don't work with, obviously work with in some way, whether it be shows or a matrix or whatever, that do collaboration. But people are very reserved in sharing their skills with and with others. And I think that if you love the industry that you work in, you owe it to the next generation that when you move on, that you leave something behind. And the best thing you can do is to collaborate and share and make sure that you're doing everything you do to set people up for success. And that can be done in many, many different ways.
Love it. Love it. So where can people find you? Instagram is...
You can find me in Australia if you want to come down and see me.
There you go.
Instagram, it's all the same. It's all my social media profiles I've kept the same. So it's Adam Ciaccia. It's CIACCIA. And so it's Instagram /Adam Ciaccia, YouTube /Adam Ciaccia, Facebook /Adam Ciaccia, and Twitter. It's my Twitter I don't use. Awesome. But yeah, if you just Googled my name, Adam Ciaccia, or Adam Australian Hairstylist, I'm not too hard to find.
Thanks for talking to us.
Eric, thanks for having me, mate. It's been a pleasure.